And welcome. It is Speakers Magazine February. You see, it's Valentine's Day and also Black History Month as well. And we have Karwanna D. Irving, Dr. Karwanna D. Irving on the magazine for February. And let me tell you, we're going to get into some things that are kind of hot. Government contracting, as you know, our government has been going through some things the last few weeks, and really, Dr. Kawana has been seen all over the place, and she was in the women's most influential for Success magazine. She just won a Stevie Award. She just won the Entrepreneur Enterprise and Women Award, and also too she got nominated for a CNBC Award, and she's invited to that. So because she's doing the work to help women and minorities secure government contracts. So, this is under fire. If you've been under a rock, you don't know. But let me tell you, it's been under fire that they want to get rid of some of those mandates. But we're going to be talking about it because she has an event. Dr. Kawana has an event coming up. There she is. There she is. Welcome.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Kawana. So you have an event coming up. I wear this on Valentine's Day, in case they didn't know. Valentine's Day, February 14th through the 16th in Dallas. And Dr. Kawana, we're going to go back to the beginning, but she has helped entrepreneurs secure over $25 million in government contracts. And that is a big deal. So I want to make sure that we get into it, how she has done that. But I want to roll it back and really go into your story, Dr. Kawana, how you started even discovering this, so to speak, that there were these things out here called government contracts. So tell us about how you found out about it from your client that you were a vendor for.
Actually, yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much it's great to be here. So I actually been in business for like a little over 2 decades, but like most entrepreneurs, I didn't start in business knowing what to do and how to do it and how to, anything about government contracts. I had never even heard of the thing. So like most companies, who start a business, you believe that it's going to take 2 to 5 years to really grow a profit. And I really believe that. And it took me like 2 to 5, even up to 7 years to really understand how to really start and grow a profitable business. So it wasn't until I actually met a young man from my community who I had went to church with. He had a very successful construction engineering firm. I had no clue at all of what he was doing and how he was able to like become the first billionaire, like even in his family. But I was freelancing for him, and I simply asked a question that most people don't want to ask, like how are you doing it? Because I have been struggling as an entrepreneur for several years, and I'm like, well, how are you doing it? Like, you look like me, we're from the same place, like we know common people. It's like, how did you really do it? Because my back was against the wall. And he took a serious look at me, and he said the same thing that you're doing for me, which I was freelancing photography, videography, and like graphic and web design for him. He said, you can do it for the government, and they will pay you 100 times more than any individual business could pay you. And that was it. That was my introduction, honestly.
I know, it was just kind of like, okay, well, how do I do that? And then that came to the part where we're kind of talking about where we are today, because he was a minority and government has the programs that are under attack that said if you're veteran owned, woman owned, minority owned, that you get these certifications. So explain that process and how. First, give us the felt when you got your first government contract and you were like, oh shoot, this really works.
So like, honestly, like when at the moment that I decided that this is something that I want to pursue, I had to take a serious look at where I was and how everything that I was doing was not working. I was stuck at like $30,000 a year, but yet I was working 50 to 70 hours work week, mostly just chasing customers. So
was it 30,000 revenue or 30,000
revenue in just annually? So nobody can live at, that's like below poverty line,
yes, because you take out expenses, we're talking about minimum wage.
Nothing. So you know what I'm saying? So of course, several times I was like, do I need to go back and get a job? I need to get a job. But I just kind of stayed the race.
That's true.
But the first contract that I landed, it took me about a year or so to really understand how to do it correctly because I did it all wrong initially.
Okay.
But the first contract was $70,000 for
Wow.
just 28 days of work. Now, what made me dive all into this was number one, it was double or more than double what I was making in a
A
year. But it
year.
was for 28 days of work. That's a month. You know what I'm saying? And not to mention, it was only 2 hours a day. So we're talking about 56 hours, which is the equivalent of 1 week's work. And I was
Mm,
like, wow, this is really a thing. And I really took a serious look like, why don't they tell us this when we start our businesses? Why didn't they tell me this at the SBCA, or the SBDC or the SBA? Why didn't they tell us this? Like, oh my God. So I went back and I said, well, let me figure out what I just did and see if I can do it again. And then I landed another contract simultaneously on top of that 70,000 for similar days of work, and it was for $60,000. And before I knew it, I had like multiple contracts simultaneously that had helped me to go from $30,000 a year to multiple six figures in a very short period of time. And
wow.
that is when I decided I'm going to be the big mouth that tell everybody about this $1 trillion secret. And
Mm,
yeah, they do have contracts for, opportunities for small businesses. But even if you're a minority and a woman, there are even other opportunities that are there.
mm. I've been on some of your lives because you do a 5-day challenge. And I remember you said something about you don't have to necessarily be the person that delivers the work or
Mhm.
even creates the product. Like the government buys, say, staples, you know.
Yes.
So you could be the person that sources that and sells that.
Yep.
And
Sorry.
it was one of those things where you went through all
Yes.
the different type of categories of the things that government buys, and basically they buy everything.
They buy everything. Yeah.
And so it doesn't have to be like you were in videography and web design, but it doesn't have to be. So in terms of the contracts that you got outside of your area of expertise, which you were trained in, what
Mhm.
were some of the other type of contracts that you received or you help other clients get that
Yeah.
weren't
So
necessarily the normal?
right. So really great question. So this is called, most people cliche call it the middleman strategy, but I look at it as being a consultant for the government,
Okay.
which in essence make you a shopper for the government. So they literally buy everything. And so when I actually first got into contracting with the government, I had never actually did photography as a professional. I did videography as a professional, and I, dibbled and dabbled in websites and things of that nature. So the first contract that I landed, it wasn't even in my initial scope, but it was very related because photography is
Mhm,
very related to video. So I knew that I can do the job. And
mhm.
so, but beyond that, I was able to get like graphic design contracts, but also consulting contracts for businesses as well. And so some of the other things outside of my initial professional services that I provide, I've been able to help people get contracts selling wigs to the government, janitorial services, selling food to the government, selling professional trainings to the government, including how to use PowerPoints, like trainings on how to use PowerPoints. And these
Wow.
are all very lucrative contracts. I've also been able to help clients, secure contracts to sell CPR trainings to the government. Now, when I say they buy everything, they literally buy everything. And I know that right now, during this particular time, if I may say, that
Mhm.
there's this whole little uproar about diversity, equity, and inclusion, and how does that affect small businesses right now? And I really want to speak to it. Just a moment is like at the end of the day, we're talking about a conversation that's being had on the federal level. So regardless if you're a minority, a woman, a veteran, or whoever you are that has a diverse business, you are still a business owner. You are still a small business. And this particular country thrives off the small businesses. And so regardless if you want to play those cards or not, or will be able to play those cards on the federal landscape or not, small business contracting will never go away. So if you want to get in, now is the time to actually get in. And not to mention those certifications, as a minority, woman-owned small businesses, those particular certifications are still acknowledged on the state and local level, as well as with corporations. So now is the time to actually take an opportunity to get into this particular field while it's here and the getting is good.
Mhm. People need to get the bag while they can.
Ab-
Get it
ab-
while you can. That is so true. But what you said was interesting that you do the scope. So you said when you first got the contract, you did it all wrong, and then you learn how to do it right. And I know there is, and because we work together.
Mhm.
and some of the things that when I'm doing your applications and I'm learning the things that you do,
Mhm.
but there are so many sites that source RFPs. I
Mhm.
had no idea until I started working with you. So there's a big site, I guess it's
Yeah.
the government site, but then there's people that make money sourcing or listing the other RFPs, whether it's federal, state, or local,
Local. Yep.
and you pay for them.
Yep.
And I guess what I'm trying to say is that which sites are the best sites, or how does a person, I know probably the government ones are probably the more complicated.
Mhm.
Do you have a site, or do you have a source
Yeah.
that you can help people with to
Yeah.
find them, and
Yeah.
then you help them apply for them?
Absolutely. So I always recommend that people, when you're getting into doing business with the government, that you fully optimize and fail proof your business by doing business with local, state, and federal governments. So the federal site, the best federal site where all things federal contracting comes from is sam.gov. That is the one-stop drop for all federal agencies. They drop all of their sourcing opportunities into that site. And then for your state, every state has their own procurement portal. So you would check with your state. And then for your city and counties, they also have their own procurement portal. Now, there are some third party companies that, like
Yes.
you said, source all of these things. So you won't have to go to like 3 or 4 different sites.
Mhm.
I don't have anyone in particular, but like some of the ones that I've looked at and thought were really cool are FedBid Speed, FedBiz Ops, GovSpin. There are a few of them.
I've seen
Um,
them, and
yep.
I thought they were government, but they're third party.
Yep, and GovCon Search Tools, that is one that we partner with a company to provide opportunities to, to our clients and those people who follow us as well. So there's a lot of opportunities that are coming down the pipeline. So whether or not you subscribe to a tool to get those opportunities delivered to you, or search for free directly from the source itself, don't miss out on the opportunities that are coming down the pipeline.
So let's look at timing of it. Going through your 5-day challenge that I had a few of my clients go through, and they're like, "Wow, it's a lot to this." And like you said, you were really honest about it. You said, "Well, my first contract took about a year, but if you know the way to do it, it doesn't have to take that long." So give us the timing of
Yeah.
an RFP. Are they usually all coming during the beginning of the year, October, or they're always rolling through? And then once you actually see a RFP to bid on,
Hmm.
how long does it take to prepare it?
Yeah.
And then how long does it take, this is a question,
Uh-huh.
once it's paid? Like, how long is the
Yeah,
payout?
really great question. So the only reason why it took me like a little over a year to land my first contract, because I had no mentor, no coach, no blueprint. I knew absolutely nothing. But I was doing the work and I just did it wrong, right? So I have clients that are able to land contracts within 6 months. Some are within 6 weeks. Even one in particular that you're going to see at the live event, he landed his first contract in just 3 weeks. So it's different for
Wow.
everyone, depending on how much of an executor you are, how fast you execute, and how much you already have started during the process as well. But how long does it really take? It depends on you. It depends on your belief system. It depends on if you have any certain type of beliefs or values that's currently already holding you back. And those are some of the things that we have to get through. We got to get through the mess, because success is all about switching up over your mindset. And so the more
Mhm.
programmed you are to be where you are, the harder it's going to be, the longer it may take to get through that mess, so that you can actually open up those floodgates for prosperity. It's a spiritual thing, really, honestly. So I would always say, give yourself 3 to 6 months, at least 6 months. If you're doing a system and submitting bids, at least, one a day, that's about 20 a month. You can land a contract within your first 90 days to 6 months at tops. So when you land a contract, how long does it take to really get paid? It depends, because some of these contracts are like 2 to 5 years in terms. They will always have a notice to proceed on a certain date, and you will be invoicing them over a milestone. So every once a month or every 2 weeks, depending on the negotiated contract that you have with the government, that's how often you can get paid. But
Wow.
the average contract, because they are about 2 to 5 years, now we have sustainability over those 2 to 5 years, and don't have to worry about like when your next check is going to come from, because you already know, because you're locked into a contract.
I love that. Okay. So this has been a game changer for you, and it has been, and you have this chip in you, because you also, the other word I didn't say that you want is San Francisco's fastest growing business, but you have this chip in you that once you learn something that you want to tell others, and especially those in your community, because give me your why, so to speak, of what why this is important for you to tell other people.
Just like I grew up in a very blighted community, and resources and finances was a real thing. So I grew up in an area of scarcity, and for me, I always wanted to see what it was like to be on the other side. And I
Mm.
always said that once I get on the other side, I'm going to share with other people how I got there. It's just a gift. I feel like it was always a calling. But even before I became, who I am today, like every little thing that I was learning, because I started learning about grants, I started learning about free money, I started learning about all these other things, way to fix your credit along the way, right? Those are like small wins for me. I was always dropping gems and sharing that information. Now I'm just sharing how to create wealth, because now I discovered a secret to actually creating massive wealth. Even as a small business entrepreneur, solopreneur, regular, everyday average person can become a 7-figure earner or 8-figure earner. And now I'm just an open book about here's the information, here's how you do it, here's where you go. And so for me, I feel like it's a gift. And I feel like especially for minority people, if I may say, the black people and black women, my honest experience as a black woman, first 7-figure earner, I would say in my family, is that every woman should deserve to be a millionaire by yourself,
Mhm.
7 figures, regardless if you're married, regardless if you're in a relationship. Every woman needs to have her own financial stability. Whether you're doing it, as a couple or not, you need to have it on for your own self, right? But also as a people, we are so left behind. There's so much programming, all the lies that we've been told, all the systematic racism that has been put in place to keep our people oppressed financially, spiritually, emotionally. We are fighting for the wrong things. There are so many things that is tied, including violence and including like all these other things that I've saw growing up. All that blight is all tied to lack of resources, lack of finances, lack of financial stability. And so for me, it's like I owe this to my community.
Yeah.
I owe this to my people. And as we actually elevate, it's only going to create more better jobs, right? The crime rates are going to go down. People are going to be able to live better, all that stuff. And so it curves the problems and issues. Money is the solution, I believe, to a lot of our problems. And it even says it in the Bible that money solves
The
all
answer.
things, right?
Mhm. Money answers all things. That's
Yes.
true. That
And
is so
so if I
true.
can show people how to make more money in business and make more money for your family and create generational wealth, we are solving problems together.
That is so good. And your book is called Don't Duck the Government. They have your money. I
Yeah.
love it. I was like, don't duck the government. And the thing that you said that people need to understand, they come to the event. The event is in Dallas. And so people can still come. The website is Winning Government Contracts Live. That it's a mindset. And so you're going to go over obviously the tactical things of how to really get the contract, what it is you need to do, where to find them, what to say, da, da, da. But before they even do that, they have to believe in what you're saying. They have to release their limiting beliefs
Hmm.
on that they can do it.
Absolutely.
And so has that been a journey for you,
Mhm.
personal development as well as a business development, and
Yes.
they go hand in hand, and this is kind of like why your conference is different, I guess you would say.
It's very different because in order to help a person achieve a certain thing, you got to help them become a certain type of person. And so there's a success principle that I've learned. It's a biblical principle, but also every wealth creator that I've ever studied actually lives by these rules. It's called the be, do, have success principle. In order for you to have something, whatever it is that you aspire to have, you want to be a homeowner, you want to own property, you want to have a $1 billion portfolio, you want to be the first 7-figure earner, millionaire, billionaire for your family, whatever. In order for you to have that tangible thing, the property, you have to first become the person who actually can attract that. Because if you're not the person first, all the action steps, the thing, the tasks, the hard work, you will be unable to do. So you got to become the person who will actually do the thing in order to have and produce this particular type of a result. And so this identity piece, it all starts
Yeah.
in the mind. Well, who do I need to become? First, you got to see who you are and why you are the way you are and why we believe the things that we believe. Is all because of the programming. Programming isn't just something that starts in school, right? We've been programmed to believe Christopher Columbus, discovered America, and that Santa
Right.
Claus is Christmas is real, and Thanksgiving is real. Like all those different things. Like we have been programmed to become consumers, but we were created to be creators. Now,
Mhm.
now you got to know who you are, identity, that piece. When you know who you are, you can walk in your boldness and actually execute upon the things that's going to help you get to where you are, where you want to be. And that right there is genius, right? Because how many people have you ever heard of that actually was broke one day and won the lottery, became a multimillionaire the next day, right? How many people? Let's say Rodney King, right? Well, what happens because Rodney King never became the person? And he never did anything to earn that money except play the lottery. So there's no growth, no development, right? So
Mhm.
what happens 2, 3 years down the line? He's
The
back.
mindset is still there. Yeah, the
He's back
mindset.
broke. He's
Mhm.
back broke, right? And that's because you can never have more than who you are programmed to be. So we got to reprogram ourselves to be that 7-figure earner, that 8-figure earner. We got to reprogram ourselves, and it starts in the mind.
Ooh, I love that. I love that. We are talking with Dr. Karwanna D. Irving. She is the cover girl of February. She has an event coming up in Dallas. I will be there February 14th through the 16th. Yes, live in Dallas in the other D. I'm from Detroit, so that's the other D. Uh, and so we're going to be talking about all things to really grow and scale and maintain and leave legacy for your business. And she's sharing secrets because it's part of her where she grew up, and she just feel like this is her calling. This is her calling. I've seen her live. She gets so excited about this. She gets so excited. She's a big dreamer, and she's trying to push other people to dream big and really do the same type of things. What I like that she really talks about is the practical and how to do it and the systems. And I think you said you had an app, and I think I want to say that we were talking about. Am I talking too much or
Yeah, we have real, yeah. So we're not working on that right now, but
we're
yes.
not working? Okay, but it is coming. It is coming because she's always cutting edge. Tracy Robinson says hello over there. Hey Tracy, she's part of Ready Set Go Speak community as well. And then we've got I think April. She said over there, she said
Hey,
she's
bro.
amazing. Yes, yes, yes. So, and then there's some people over here from Facebook as well. And she said she just put a hashtag this year. Awesome. It is awesome. And one of the things too that I want to say that Black History Month, there was a program that I watched. One was, I think, Madam CJ Walker. It was on Netflix, and they probably bring it up every Black History Month.
Yeah.
But it is one of the things when you said that you have to become the person
Mhm.
before you can have the things. And if
Yes.
you watch that particular thing with Madam CJ Walker, one of the first Black women millionaires, she did not let anybody tear her down.
Right.
Okay. She was like, you know what? She knew who she was, and she went out and made the money.
Yeah.
I really, really love that. And so, all of us, in terms of really understanding our business, but really first understanding who we are,
Mhm.
and really don't let anything that's going on in the world and government and in the administration take that away from you.
Yeah.
You know, I did an interview the other day, and they said DI is just another way for them to say the N word without saying the N word.
Yeah.
And so we know how constricting and how volatile that could be, and just set off the emotions. But we're smarter than that. We know who we are. We know the plans that we need to create. And so what are some of the things that you're going to be going over? I know we're going to go over mindset and really the belief systems. But what are some of the other things that you're going to be teaching at the event in
In
Dallas?
So yeah, so Winning Government Contracts Live is going to be the place where you actually come to get the answers, especially for those who have been like trying to get into the government contracting space. This is specifically for those people who have tried and failed. They have no systems. They don't know what they're doing. Maybe they accidentally landed a contract and don't know how to land their next one and how to do it more consistently. We're going to give you answers. We're going to give you a rinse and repeatable system of how this actually works, show you how much money is on the table, your value. We're going to go over what I call the 6 P's to actually pitching and winning government contracts, which is preparing for them, for positioning yourself, how to partner, how to price, how to submit those proposals, but also how to profit, right? Because you got to know how to do these things.
Woo! I love that. I love that. You said that really fast, so we got it on tape.
Yeah, so it's gonna be transformation all day in the room. So make sure. So platinum tickets are sold out, but we still have room for general admission. If you go to winninggovernmentcontractslive.com, you can join us. Look, it's going down next week. People are going to be walking out with a game plan to go ahead and install this government contracting thing in their business for wealth creation. Now, I don't even know who's listening right now, but I can talk to the Black community. I can talk to the Black women, the Black men, to the Black community right now. People have been talking about over these past 5 years or so about reparations, right? Just imagine what's going to happen when reparations come. You're going to divide it by however many billions of people, right, across the nation.
Everybody, wait a minute, everybody's going to say they Black at that point, so it'll be everybody in the world, right? It's like,
hello, they're going to be like, I got 5% Black in me, right? Because we all connected. And not to mention every Asian has been connected to Black historically, right? And so people are going to come out the woodworks, and you're going to probably get like a $200 check at the end of the day. But I always say reparations is already here. Just like they say the revolution would not be televised, reparations is already here. That's why you think they're fighting so hard to remove it, because people are waking up. People are understanding that they can actually create wealth with the government. This has been the biggest kept secret from Elon Musk himself. He got a government contract. Best believe it. Jeff Bezos himself got government contracts. All of these people, Amazon, these people, Uber, they have government contracts. It has been the secret weapon that they didn't want us to know. And now that more of us are waking up and like, hey, you're landing the average contract awarded to a single small business annually is over $2.7 million. We're talking about real reparations. And you get to actually claim that when you are an entrepreneur who does business unmovable, unshakable. Like, you cannot be distracted by the conversations that's happening in the marketplace, because as an entrepreneur, you are the heartbeat of the American economy, and the government has to buy from you. They can't buy from themselves. So when you position yourself as a problem solver to the government, every single day there are hundreds of thousands of problems that they're saying we have this money for, and they got to spend the money. So now is the best time ever.
And this is the thing. When I was doing your story, we'll pull up the magazine. When I was doing your story, and I said, well, let me just see some of the things that, because I went through the challenge, and I've had friends go through the challenge. I said, but I went up and I pulled one particular website up and looked at the contract, and I knew the person who got this contract. It was for $500,000, and they had to do it with the school, and the school system. And what they did was some kind of after school program from a book that they wrote. So it was from a book that they wrote, and I want to say it was like the book was called something like Make Up Your Bed. And it was to high school students for after school program to really get them into doing habits. And it's more like a motivational program. So, speakers, we have a lot of motivational speakers. And so it's like using your gift, using what you already have, and putting it into a program that they were looking for. It was RFP. It was $500,000 for 1 year.
That's $500,000. I'm talking about, we're talking about 500,000 on top of what she's already doing with her books, what she's already doing with her other clients. That's $500,000 raise. Like, who gets that? Right?
That was with one particular school.
That's just one. And that's just one contract.
Yes, that was one contract. And I was like, what? And so I'm kind of like you. I'm that big mouth that wants to share and tell everything to and let my people know that
Yeah.
this is real. This is really real. You have to do the work, but sometimes you could be working so hard that you're working on the wrong thing and
Mhm.
not talking to the right people. And
Yes.
so if you have a gift and you have something, if it's interior design, if it's whatever it is, Dr. Kawana can show you that there is a contract for that particular one. And I love this cover. You know, we went back and forth for the different type of covers that we had. So this one I love. I love this. This one is Winning Government Contracts Live 2025. Government contracts expert. I call her government contract whisperer at Business Wealth Coach. And that is really what she's really teaching, really the main thing. Her company is, she's got goals. Okay. So she's got goals, and that is what keeps her focused because she does have goals. And then this Black History Month, we're celebrating Black businesses, unapologetic about it. Speakers Magazine is going on 8 years old. So this is a thing that we are really celebrating. So going to the first part of this, you'll see the fact that the event is actually live in Dallas. Give us a little bit of reason. You know, everything's big in Dallas, and this is your first event. So you are actually from the Bay Area. So
Uh-huh.
tell us about why Dallas. And I love Dallas myself, but why not the Bay Area? Why did you choose Dallas? Is it more because it's center of the country, or
It is the center of the country, but also I have a lot of clientele that is in the Dallas area. But I have a lot of clients that are in Atlanta and New York and the DC area, and as well as the on the West Coast, right? However, I'm going to be doing a tour, so Dallas was just the
ah,
first place that I'm stopping.
okay,
I'm going to be doing a tour, so I'm going to
cool.
be everywhere. I'm definitely bringing it back home, in the San Francisco Bay Area.
I love it. I
We
love it.
cannot, not do it there. So we're definitely going to
Mhm.
be having an event here too as
And
well.
I will say this too, Speakers Magazine was really created so that we can really showcase the events of the speakers. So there's nothing that makes a bigger difference than being live and in the room. You have to show up in the rooms. It's more than just, oh, I'm just there to hear the speaker, but the other people who are in the room that you make the connections with as well.
Right.
And it's one thing to network with people online, but there's another energy when you're in the room. So
Yes.
I just, every single month, you will find, even for our March issue, is an event as well. So if you notice, Speakers Magazine has that kind of track, right? January, Quinn had an event. So there's speakers, but they also have events. And when a speaker, business entrepreneur does an event, how do I say this? They don't have to do that. They could be really well doing what they're doing. But
Mhm.
when a speaker decides to do an event, you should show up because you know they're taking the time and the effort to really and the care to make the experience for you. And they could be doing other things, and Kawan didn't have to do this. She could just continue to do stuff online, but when she's actually in the room, you will get more than just what you would get online. So I just want to say that about events. I love events. I'm a conference queen. I go to them. I've been going to them for a long time.
Mhm.
I have my favorites, and the ones, the inaugural events are usually by far the best. They usually are, and Yolanda can talk about this as well, but the first ones are like it's your first child, it's your first baby. It's always gonna be your special one, sort of. So anyway, so we're gonna go into the next page here. Speak Sell Shine, that's coming up in the fall. Speaking of a live event, that comes up every fall. We do it at the Howard Theater. We're doing it again this year, and speaksellshine.com to get on the wait list for that. So that is coming up. It's amazing. So there, the next page you'll see where we're talking about scale your business with government contracts, lessons from Dr. Kawana. So it basically right here, how to boost your business with government gold. You see that right there, and it gives you some of the tips of how she does it. She's got goals as her company, but you want to go and check out winninggovernmentcontractslive.com for sure. So you can read that particular thing. And learn about her mission and why. She kind of said a little bit. Natalie, she is also in Ready, Set, Go Speak in our community as well. And she was at Speak, Sell, Shine in October. She happens to work for the government, so we've had some conversations, but she's also part of Black Door Society, which is an organization that I'm a part of, which is really opening doors of opportunity of wealth legacy, that going through the door opening doors for each other and Black women, unapologetically Black Door Society. That's what we are. But she is a master facilitator, and her story is amazing about resilience. She has had brain tumors, and that's one part of why she wears her hair shaved like that. But she's fine now. But she just kind of like that's just when she was going through it. She was in the hospital a lot. But the story of resilience, amazing. Her speaker reel is actually going to be embedded in the magazine as well, so you can kind of hear her story as well. So you can't put everything always in print. You got to hear them live. So we got a video that'll be embedded in there as well. And then the next page again is Dexter B. Jenkins. Dexter was at the Howard Theater as well. He is again talking about wealth creation, but his is through real estate. So there is, once you have monies to work with, real estate is always going to be that wealth that you can leave generationally for. If you're buying up land and that sort of thing, that is one of the things. So his book talks about financial freedom, the real estate wealth creators blueprint is what he does. And he has an event coming up in April. He'll be on the cover of that, but his event is in Boston. And I just love what he's doing. He's a pastor, but he wants to teach his congregants and everybody that money answers what you just said, Karwanna, answers all things, and you got to have money. And so real estate for him, buying the real estate, whether you buy it and flip it or you buy it and you rent it, rent it out, but real estate. And it comes natural. His father was an entrepreneur. He was a barber, but his father owned the building where he was in. Okay. And it was a big building, and his father rented other parts of that building out, of not just seats in the barbershop, but actually like apartments above the barbershop. So yeah, so Dexter does a lot of things that really very similar to you, Dr. Kamana.
Awesome.
And then Michael Wynn, another person who really talks about HBCUs and really helping students to find money, scholarships, so that they don't go into student debt. And he's one of the things that really just talks about college access, first getting in, and then also in terms of equity, in terms of really making sure that they know all the opportunities that are available to them. And he's more or less doing it out of his calling, out of his reason why he's been doing it for years. He's got like a 4-book series about the HBCU student success track. That's really his main thing, is student success track. And he's a conference presenter. He does staff development, again, kind of like what I was telling you about government contracts,
Right.
staff development through those kind of things, and really team building. A lot of the soft skills that we have, you will be surprised. And Kawana, you can kind of pick up here, but a lot of those same soft skills that they're trying to just do on their own, they could do with government contracts.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, it is one of the things. So his is accessanequality.org. There's information in there about that. And then we have the center spread. I call it center spread, centerfold, center spread. And I love this picture. This is like, it's just like, this is that picture. There's Dallas in the background, but that's just kind of like showing that's where you're going to be. And then the other one was when you came to Detroit and you were on Fox 2 News, and you nailed that interview. You were talking about the book, and it's important to have books. And the reason why is that it's easier for a publicist to pitch you when you
Mhm.
have a book. You can be an expert, but then it's like, okay, but I want to know what is your expertise in. Is it wrapped up in a package? And that's what a book is. And so her book is called Don't Duck the Government, They Have Your Money. But you're working on another book. Am I talking too much,
No,
or
no, I haven't. No, so I
okay?
am absolutely working on another book. I'm going to be doing pre-sales in the next month or so,
Yes,
but
yes, that's what I'm saying.
yes, yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am. I'm listening. So, but it's the title, the working title right now, and it may change a little bit, but it's going to be called The Journey to Millions, and it's going to be a step-by-step guide for entrepreneurs on how to make millions in your business. So we're gonna
Mm.
throw it all in. Like I have literally spent hundreds of thousands of dollars invested into my business and coaching and mentoring, and learned how to really create massive wealth, not only for myself, but helping my clients to do the same. I'm
Yeah.
putting it all in a book so that people can just pick up a book and read it. There are gems being dropped everywhere. You can
Yeah.
find gems on my YouTube channel and my books,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But also in the room, right? So make sure you come to Winning Government Contracts Live, because there's going to be gems dropped there as well. So, and this is for anyone that's on the path to creating wealth for yourself.
Mhm.
It's not
Mhm.
about you. There's a scripture in the Bible that says that a good man leaves an inheritance for his
For his
children's children.
children's children.
And if you're not doing that, then we are totally out of alignment. If
Yes.
whatever the reason may be, maybe you don't know how, there is someone who can give you the step-by-step guide and support on knowing how to do it. So we got to get out of our own way, and we got to stop, letting our roadblocks just be the roadblock. Yeah, you can
Mhm.
get on that. You can turn your roadblock into the stepping stone, and this is what we're helping people to do. Turn your roadblock block into the stepping stone, so you can just get to the next level, and be the best version of yourself, because your children's children are depending on you.
That is so good. That is so good. That is one of my favorite scriptures. A good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. And people just think like, oh, well, that's insurance. No, it's not. It's more than insurance. Okay. It is not just insurance. It's not just bonds. Okay. We're talking about some real money, some real money. And the other thing too, this particular story talks a little bit about, breaking down the barriers and creating opportunities for marginalized communities to thrive no matter what's going on in the community. What you in the administration, you said the government can't buy from themselves.
Right.
They're gonna have to always buy from a business, and
Business.
you've got to have your business up and running, legitimate,
Hmm.
optimized, prepared, positioned. All the P's that you were saying. I love the alliteration of all the P's. They have to be positioned in order to go for the contracts, and so a lot of times people will apply for these RFPs and maybe they'll do them alone. But do you think that people can partner to do RFPs together? Have you ever done that?
Yeah, absolutely. So not only, so I have a coaching program where I actually assist people in through their bidding, because when you first go, they make it intentional. They may make it intentional. Overwhelm, right?
Yeah,
So people get overwhelmed, they confused. There's a lot of legal jargon and all this stuff
it
that's in it.
is.
So we provide a lot of support on how to get through the jargon and actually get to the money. And so yeah, there are definitely opportunities for partnerships. There's opportunities for outsourcing work. All of those things, all of those
Mm,
strategies are the things that I teach people, so they can get unstuck with their own limited beliefs about what they can or cannot do. There's always a way to get through it.
mhm. And one of the things too that I did, I looked at some because I've never done work with the government,
Mhm.
and but it's not like I couldn't partner with someone who does. And we are both publicists and we both go in on a contract. And that just was recently a
Yeah,
talk just not too long ago. And I actually have another client that will be coming to your conference
yeah,
that just says, I never thought about that. And so she's eager to learn that as well.
yes,
And it doesn't matter how long you've been in business. You can have been in business 5 years, you can just be starting out, or you can be in business like I have over 20 years and
yeah,
just find that this is another way to really scale.
yeah,
And it's something that Dr. Kwana is teaching, that she wants to, it's part of her legacy to let other people know.
yeah,
And so it's enough for everybody. And that's one of the things that I love about her is that she has a mindset or a belief to really, you know, help others. And that's really, you could tell that she's a Christian. That is part of, like, we got to just be just churchgoers, but we really have to be the ones that help activate that. So we have to be the boots on the ground and really do the things that, really God wants us to do, and just quit talking about it and be about it. So anyway, so
right.
I don't want to preach about how you are, but I just know that you are the real deal in terms of like really doing that. And when she says that she invests in coaching, she means it, like hundreds of thousands of dollars. And it takes even a different type of person to invest at that level in themselves. So for those of you who are like thinking that I can just Google my way to doing things, a Google won't be your mentor. so
That's
so
true.
so you gonna need some help. So
Yes.
trust me. I mean, you could Google one thing and it'll say this, and you could Google it, it'll say the complete
Something totally
opposite.
different.
Now you're
Absolutely.
like, okay, what do I do? And it's just like it's a shot in the dark. It's like I don't know. So that's why she
Yeah.
invests in programs to bring her A game to her clients. And that's one of the things I
Absolutely.
strive to do as well. Make sure that you go to speakersmagazine.com, look at the entire issue. The next page, I'm sorry, we still got some more issues to go through. Uh, the next one is Dr. David Walker. So we have two men. We have more men in this issue than we ever had. So come on with the brothers.
Right.
Dr. David Walker, he's part of Ready, Set, Go, Speak. He's part of the community as well. He was at Speak, Sell, Shine. And he's really a pastor, retired. And now he's a speaker. He was a former principal as well. And he has really written a book called The Champion's Mindset, and the champion's mind, I'm sorry, the champion's mind again talks about mindset.
Hmm.
And his book is really good, and he really does a lot, really helping people unleash their potential.
Hmm.
And that's really his main thing. His speaking reel will be embedded in this issue as well, so that you can kind of hear him and understand what his message is. And he has a great testimony about how he really got into doing all of this. And David is in the Bible, you know, how David killed the giant. So, anyway, so he has a lot of parables of things like that, why he's even named David. The other book, Dr. Piro, uh, he wrote a book. He's from Michigan State, a professor, and is forever on the path. And he's really talking about the Black experience at Michigan State University, because, you know, I'm from Detroit. So you see the green and white. For those of who have gone to MSU, you got to get this book and understand this book. The book is really thorough. It went through not just like the recent people that you know went to Michigan State. We're talking like in the 1800s. Okay,
Wow.
so he kind of goes through this a little bit. And the book is a hefty book. It's about 500 pages. So I'm just going to say it's one of those books that is definitely once in a lifetime type of book, because he spent many years doing the research for this particular book. And then we have another gentleman as well, Michael Wynn, a different Michael though. His is Michale, versus the other Michael, which is MY. Isn't that something? But he's also in Ready, Set, Go, Speak. He was part of Speak, Sell, Shine. And he talks about habits. And his main thing is about creating habits that really create your success. And he is called Coach Win. He's got the cool name, got Coach Win. And he's had 35 years really entrepreneurs and leaders. That's his main thing. But really comes down to discipline and habits. If you follow him on TikTok, you can kind of see that, and he does his LinkedIn videos and things like that. But he's very consistent. And listen, I find that most people don't have a information problem; it's an implementation problem, and it's implementing it because they get bored. But if something's a habit, you'll consistently do it. So he talks about how to create those winning habits, which is so key. Okay. It's like, oh, this, you know, I got no, you would never leave the house and not brush your teeth. Okay. So how do you create the other habits that make you win as well? So
Right.
his whole book is about that. And then we have Linda Fagans. Linda Fagans is part of Ready, Set, Go, Speak .com as well. She's empowering women through faith and leadership. She's an attorney, been an attorney for many, many years. And this is her first book, Courage to Be First. And it talks about how women were always the first. If any woman who was first at doing anything, it took a certain amount of courage. And that's what her book is about. And it's really, really good. It talks about leadership as well. And then Tari, which is like the last one, Donaldson, again, she has, uh, Tari Donaldson has a book. We could change the page. On that. Okay, yeah. She has a book called Extreme Vision. Now, this extreme is with the X. It doesn't have the E because it has extreme hip hop was the name of her business that really became like the first $1 million I guess you would say, program or fitness program across the country. So she and a guy named Phil created Extreme Hip Hop. It's a stepping kind of a exercise, and now people are franchises, I guess you would say, of it, or they license from her. So she talks about that extreme vision, how that came to be. She herself lost over 100 pounds doing this particular system, but really it talks about how to really walk in your purpose. And if you read her book, you kind of see how her purpose is kind of like your purpose is like why is someone's why what it is. She came from Texas, little small town, and everybody in her family was morbidly obese. She thought that was just a normal thing. We're just big bone women. And she realized that that was not the way. And she decided to
Yeah.
change, and she became very health conscious. And from there, the purpose of her was to really create extreme hip hop, which I didn't realize before she became part of the community that that was her, because I had done extreme hip hop at some place, and I didn't realize that that was her program that she and Phil had created. So her book is out, her first book, speaking on it all over the place. She hails from Cleveland now, but she is really a fabulous woman. And you look at her YouTube channel, she's doing the thing. She is doing the thing. You can find a lot of gems on her TikToks and also her YouTube. And then I talked a lot about all of these people are part of the Ready, Set, Go Speak membership. It's a small community. It's part mentorship, part mastermind, magic, but we really share a lot of media opportunities in there and really coaching. It's like what you said about being having a mentor. You know, you could Google all day, but sometimes you don't know what you be Googling.
Right.
And if you don't know what you don't know, you need someone to help you. So that's what the Ready, Set, Go Speak program is. It's a year-long program. And so I invite people, if they would like to check it out, go to readysetgospeak.com. And then the last page is really talking about our March cover girl. It's like a glimpse of her event that's coming up. She is actually doing a premiere of a documentary on successful Black single mothers. And everyone knows that March is Women's History Month. So Dr. Vicky Wright Hamilton is going to be our cover, but this is her event that's coming up in March that I'll be there in Atlanta, March 20th for her premiere, doing the red carpet interviews at the Regal Theater in the Atlanta station. So that is our issue for the month of February. Going back to the cover. Yep, there we go. I love it. I love it. This is so. Dr. Kwana, is there anything else that you'd like to add before we kind of like get out of here and thank all the folks over here?
Mhm.
We got over here. Okay, we can see it. The diva. Such great information. Thank you, Karen. Thank you. She's
The
a
real
diva.
deal.
Mm-hmm.
The real deal, mom.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. So
Yes.
so I guess in closing, really just, we're having this event in Dallas is next week. I know most people are because of the programming we have, we're like, it's Valentine's weekend. Well, every day is Valentine's Day. You got to really think about and make decisions based on where you want to be in the next 12 months, and the action steps has to line up. So that's why the room will be filled with people who have decided that they're going to focus on creating wealth and
Yes.
basically curve the programming of consumerism, which
Mhm.
we've all been programmed to consume, right? Now it's time to position yourself to collect, to be the creator that actually collects. Because right now we're giving all of our wealth back out into the marketplace, and somebody is collecting that. And so you got to be an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurial mind is like, what can I create to offer so that I can actually collect and create wealth for myself and my family? So
Mhm.
those are the people that's going to be in a room. Definitely general admission is still open. Join us at winninggovernmentcontractslive.com. You can still get tickets before it's filled up, because we do have capacity. And so once that capacity is reached, it's going to be closed off. But I will say this before I leave. And again, y'all know I'm a spiritual girl by now. Y'all know I'm a spiritual girl. So, but I want to take you to here. If you don't remember anything else, I want you to remember this. It is your birthright to create wealth. Like, we were designed and
Mhm.
created by God to have dominion and to
Mhm.
create wealth and to prosper and to live abundantly, not to struggle and just get by. If we're struggling just getting by, and I've been there, I was that person for several years, right? Just know that there are some things that you have to do differently so that you can actually live according to your calling. And there is, when God created the earth in the beginning in Genesis, y'all go to the book of Genesis, right? The first 26, 28 um chapters, or not chapters, but
Versus.
verses. Yeah, verses in Genesis. It talks about how God created the earth, and he created the stars and the moon, and he created all these things, and he created the fish and the fowl, all those things that he did. And then once he did that, he delegated those things to be fruitful and to multiply. He delegated the fish and the fowl and all those things to create and produce after its own kind. And the last thing that he created was man in his own perfect image. And so if God was a creator, he created us to also create.
Create.
The first commandment that he has given us as people is in Genesis, I think 1:28. It
To
says,
multiply.
go be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it. And then you will have dominion. Now that right there, it is the be, do, have. Go be, right? He's talking about the identity, the becoming. And then he says fruitful and multiplying. Multiplying is an action word, right? It's like, do this, do this, do this. Go be fruitful and multiply and replenish it and subdue it. Subduing means to overcome whatever hurdles that are in your way. And then it says you will have dominion. So that is the property that you will have from the doing. So go be fruitful and multiply. And don't forget to come after these government contracts, because that is how you're going to dominate, right? And create generational wealth for yourself and your family.
I love that. We're talking about multiplying. We're not talking about adding. We talk about multiplying.
Absolutely.
You can start with the added, but you got to multiply. That
Yes.
is, I'm so looking forward to seeing you. There is I'm a big. This is gonna be going through the airport with me.
They're like, who is that? What is that?
It's like, that's that girl. She is that girl. So that's going to be coming with me, coming through the airport, and it'll be on the stage, and we'll be talking to the things, and then the book, they can pre-order it as well, and I'll drop the link as soon as you tell me that it's on pre-order. Whether it's a page, whether you have a page, and we could just put our name in there so that we can be the first to know when it is out, so that we can actually get it. So just create it. And I like that, the journey to millions. That is perfect, because that is really what it is. And I want to say, tell how many people were in your family, because I want people to understand that you did not come up with a silver spoon in your mouth. How many?
Well, I'm the fourth of seven. So my mom was a single parent. There's 7 of us, so we migrated here from Louisiana. But yes, 7 children. Ooh. Absolutely.
So she is one of those moms too, that she raised you to be that girl. So successful Black single mothers, but 7, and that's that. Having 1 or 2 today is a lot. So I can't, I can't even imagine, right? Back in the day they did, but it was so different then. I mean, these kids today, it's like, if you had 7 today, everybody, all 7 of them would want a cell phone, okay? By third grade. By third grade.
Okay? In a car by 9th grade.
Yes. I mean, that's a whole different expectation. So
it's different.
But I just wanted people to know that your heart is so pure, and you really are the truth about really telling people how to really scale their businesses and make money with it. And it doesn't have to be as hard as people think it is. They just have to really focus on it. And that's one of the main things, that they have to focus on it and have the right mindset. So thank you guys for joining us. I see the people over there, Karen and April. April is like about it over there. Tracy and Jeff, thank you so much for joining us. And I will see you next week there at the event as well. And the magazines will be there for everyone who's there. They're going to be getting a magazine. So they'll be getting their own copy. But they can go to Speakers Magazine and see all the videos within the issue as well. And thank you, Black Speakers Network, for hosting us today. They've been our partner for the last 7 years. And so shout out to Brian Oles. And our co-host today couldn't make it today, wasn't feeling well, but shout out to Rob YB Youngblood, the connector. So I want to make sure that you and YB do connect, because I think he would be interested in learning, at least doing the challenge. He's not feeling right now, but at least do your challenge, which you have pretty frequently as well. So once a month, so we can go through that and learn about those government contracts. So with that, thank you so much, Dr. Karwanna, and I will see you all soon. Thank you all for joining us today. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and we will see you next month. I'm Pam Perry, and I'm out. Thank you, Monet, our producer, super producer.